Alright, now this is probably the most important part of this video. If you watch no other part of this video, understand this. Although plaintiffs' works are creative, the aspects of the works that Meta needed to extract and use to train Llama are unprotected statistical data regarding word order, frequencies, grammar, and syntax, i.e., unprotectable information about plaintiffs' use of language relative to all other training data rather than their protected expression. It's just a statistical analysis of how people who write in English use words. Their grammar, their form, their syntax, their usage, their style. As before, there's just no other way to do it. The necessity to access unprotected aspects of works as to which plaintiffs had already exploited the commercially valuable right of first publication tips the second factor in favor of fair use. See Google Books again. Google Books further refined the inquiry, noting that what matters is not so much the amount and substantiality of the portion used in making a copy, but rather the amount and substantiality of what is thereby made accessible to a public for which it may serve as a competing substitute. So this isn't about how you get it, it's about how you use it. That's why it's fair use, not fair getting of or whatever. Courts routinely find that copying an entire work is fair where reasonable or necessary to achieve the purpose of the fair use. Like with our film critic, in order to get the clips, he's got to download the whole movie. He can't just download the clips. That's not how it works. He has to download the movie and select the clips. And they go back to Kelly too. It was reasonable to copy each of Kelly's images as a whole, as copying only part would reduce the usefulness of the visual search engine. Because it was reasonably necessary for the Hathitrust digital library to make use of the entirety of the works in order to enable the full-text search function, we do not believe the copying was excessive. And then they go all the way back to Sony Betamax, finding technology for recording entire programs was fair use and noting the fact that the entire work is reproduced does not militate against the finding of fair use. Google Books is highly instructive on factor 3. In that case, Google made a digital copy of the entirety of each of the plaintiff's books to create a tool that could search for words within these books and return snippets containing them when prompted. With significant effort, plaintiffs' experts were able to use the tool to access and reproduce no more than 16% of the text of the books. While Google makes an unauthorized digital copy of the entire book, it does not reveal that digital copy to the public. The copy is made to enable the search functions to reveal limited, important information about the books. With respect to the search function, Google satisfies the third factor test as eliminated by the Supreme Court in Campbell. And likewise, Llama's utility depends on copying whole books and many other data sources, and plaintiffs openly acknowledge that. We covered that. They said it. It cannot be done any other way. Thus, Meta's use of whole books to train Llama was necessary for its fair use purpose of creating a transformational LLM. Moreover, Meta's use does not make any significant portion of the text available to Llama users. Experiments by the party's experts show that Llama can be forced through determined, assiduous, time-consuming prompt engineering to make accessible at most only a few frequently quoted passages, usually less than a paragraph, from only some of plaintiffs' books. They have to be frequently quoted so that it's in the training data enough, because otherwise it's not going to be able to do it because it doesn't have it. It can't reproduce text that it doesn't have. These passages constitute far less than 1% of any work and pale in comparison to the reproduction found fair as a matter of law in Google Books. And Llama's inability to generate outputs that substantially replicate training data is by design. They don't want it to. If they go on, regurgitating text quoted by others, that's the LLM not working like it's supposed to. Meta trained Llama on a massive volume of data to ensure that no one work meaningfully influences what Llama can generate. Indeed, plaintiffs do not even allege any infringing outputs. Thus, if the third factor thus weighs in favor of anyone, it's Meta. Again, if this isn't fair use for Meta, then there is no fair use and they can go after any one of us.